Ruth Bader Ginsburg was born on March 15th in 1933. She was born to her parents Catherine and Nathaniel Bader. Ruth was always very inspired by her mother Catherine. Her mother Catherine actually didn't go to college herself. Her mother, though, did work at a garment factory in New York City just to make enough money so that Ruth's older brother could attend college. Ruth always felt that this was a very, very selfless act for her mother to do, and also one of the reasons why she was so influenced by her and why her mother motivated her so much. Unfortunately, one day before Ruth's high school graduation, her mother passed away due to cancer. This really, really upset Ruth. However, she did just use this fuel to motivate her. So after graduating high school, immediately she went to Cornell, and there she graduated one of the top students in her class. She also, immediately after graduation, married one of her fellow classmates, Marty. So after marrying Marty, they actually both went to Harvard Law School. So at Harvard Law School, Ruth actually became pregnant, but Marty also fell ill with testicular cancer. While Ruth was studying for her studies, she was also taking care of an infant child, while also taking care of her husband's health, while also taking care and helping her husband with his law studies. They both did graduate on time, and immediately after graduation, Marty found a job. So Ruth, on the other hand, it took a little bit more time for her to find work. During this time, people were quite hesitant to hire women just because women didn't have much of a presence in the workplace. And it was just a new concept to people. People didn't quite grasp the idea, as ridiculous as that may be. And so she did begin her professional career doing clerical work for the Southern New York District Attorney's Office. And after she did that, from 1963 to 1972, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a professor at Rutgers. After becoming a professor at Rutgers, she was a professor at Columbia. She was a professor at Columbia from 1972 until 1980. There, when she was a professor, she was one of the only women professors in the entire nation. Also, while at Columbia, she became one of the first women to have ever been tenured at Columbia. Also, during the 1970s, she became the director of the Women's Rights Project of the American Civil Liberties Union. There, she argued 6 landmark cases, all regarding gender equality, and she won 5 of them before the Supreme Court. In 1980, Jimmy Carter appointed her to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. She stayed there until 1993, when she was appointed by Bill Clinton to become a justice of the Supreme Court. There is where she still is today, and there is where most of her speeches are going to be coming from. So that's where most of the analysis for her speeches that I have gotten came from. When analyzing her communication skills, ethos was definitely something that stood out. She does have an extremely credible background, and I mean, alone, just going to Cornell and Harvard is enough to earn her an insane amount of respect, and that's besides all of her other accomplishments. She also does have amazing character. So as I mentioned before, a prime example is when she attended Harvard Law School while also taking care of the infant child, her ill husband, and her husband's studies. Logos is something that is also quite prevalent in her speeches. So she is a very factually based person in her speeches, especially when she is on the Supreme Court. She uses extremely factual information when she's regarding the court cases that she's speaking on, even outside of the Supreme Court when she's referencing them. She won't put any type of emotional appeal or any type of that on it. She'll just use the straight factual information. Also, she is extremely analytical in explaining her analysis of these court cases and also like the decisions that she has made in these court cases. This also refers back to logos, although pathos is something that is not as prevalent in her speeches. So especially in the Supreme Court. When she's in the Supreme Court, everything is very to the point, very logical, avoids pathos, avoids any type of that. However, when she's giving speeches outside of the Supreme Court, when she is speaking in front of a public audience, she is more likely to use this. She's more likely to crack jokes and kind of get that emotional appeal. Her nonverbal communication is very professional. So she has great posture, she is always poised, she is always remaining eye contact with the audience, and she definitely engages with the audience. Her oral delivery skills are also very consistent. So she will take her time also when she is giving these speeches as well. That is something very consistent. Other consistent factors are her pitch, her volume, her sound. She does this all without maintaining a monotone voice, however, which is quite incredible. Some clerks actually referring to how slowly she speaks. Some clerks even have to count 5 Mississippis before that they know that she is done talking. So if you ever look up any of her speeches, you will definitely notice this. And also her choice of language, it's very, very simple. She doesn't use any type of political or law jargon. She doesn't use language that may be frivolous or confusing to people who might not understand this jargon. Both speaking slowly and using this type of language are both strategies that she uses when speaking. She uses these strategies to make sure that the audience is truly understanding the message that she is trying to convey. She isn't trying to distract. Like when she's speaking, she isn't using crazy arm movements or anything like that. She is poised, just trying to get her message across. Ruth Bader Ginsburg developed her professional career in a time when women had to work twice as hard even to just be given a shot. So she is an amazing woman who has made huge strides for gender equality, who went on the Supreme Court and in general is always trying to advocate for gender equality. She even recently actually has had a documentary made about her, which has made about $1.16 million in the box office is the first weekend that it has been out. So she is very relevant and she is amazing. She is an amazing woman who will continue to inspire future generations with her amazing legacy.